Your engine is slowly dying, and most drivers don't even notice the warnings. Motors that should survive 300,000 miles are tapping out at barely 100,000 because nobody follows the restoration steps manufacturers hope you never discover. Today, I'm revealing 17 procedures that clear carbon buildup and undo years of internal damage. Simple fixes that would crush their new car profits. The last step costs just $12 and saved my truck at 387,000 miles. Let's get into it. 17. The air filter quality trap. We'll start with the simplest fix, and one that half of all drivers get cheated on. Sure, you swap your air filter, but are you choosing the correct one? Throwing in a bargain bin filter is like trying to sprint a marathon while breathing through a cocktail straw. Your engine is essentially a massive air pump. For every gallon of fuel it burns, it has to inhale thousands of gallons of fresh air. Cheap filters rely on weak paper material that blocks airflow to trap dust. Quality OEM or high-performance filters use advanced synthetic fibers that catch contaminants without choking the engine. According to Department of Energy testing, a dirty or restrictive air filter can drop acceleration by up to 11%. That's a huge hit in power just to save a few dollars. Always choose an OEM filter or a trusted high-flow brand like Wix or Man. Spending $20 instead of $10 makes all the difference. The difference in throttle response is immediate. Your engine breathes freely now, but clean air means nothing if your electrical system has fighting voltage drop. 16. The battery terminal corrosion voltage drop. You might think your battery is fine because the car starts, but modern cars are flying computers. They demand clean, stable voltage. If your battery terminals have that white, crusty powder on them, your engine is suffering from dirty power. That white powder is dried sulfuric acid. It acts as a resistor. It prevents the alternator from fully charging the battery, and it prevents the battery from delivering clean voltage to your injectors and coils. Mechanics call this voltage drop. When the voltage fluctuates, your car's ECU compensates by running the engine slightly richer or messing with the timing. This results in a rougher idle and ghost electrical issues. According to the Care Council, dirty battery connections are the #1 cause of charging system failures and can shorten the life of your alternator by 30% due to the extra load. Mix baking soda and water. Pour it on the terminals. Scrub with a wire brush until they shine like chrome. Tighten them down. It takes 5 minutes and your electrical system will thank you. So if you're here looking for one fix that will save you hundreds, smash the like button and subscribe for more repair tips. If you feel a vibration at red lights, what you think you need might be completely wrong. 15. The engine mount collapsed. Does your car rattle when you were stopped at a light in drive? Does it feel smooth in neutral but rough in gear? You don't have an engine problem. You have a structural problem. A customer with a 2014 Mazda 3 thought his transmission was failing because the car clunked every time he shifted. He was ready to pay $3,000 for a transmission. I inspected the passenger side motor mount. The rubber had collapsed and the metal bracket was hitting the frame. Your engine and transmission are suspended by rubber mounts filled with hydraulic fluid. These mounts isolate the vibration of the engine from the frame of the car. Over 7 to 10 years, the rubber dries out and cracks or the fluid leaks out. When this happens, the engine vibration is transferred directly to the chassis. It makes the car feel old, rattly, and broken. Even if the engine is running perfectly, replace the engine and transmission mounts. On many 4-cylinder cars, this is surprisingly easy. The difference in cabin feel is night and day. It goes from feeling like a tractor to feeling like a luxury car. The engine's smooth, but there's a screech from the front. It's a $20 part, keeping your accessories alive. 14. The belt tensioner fatigue. You hear a chirp or a squeal on cold mornings. You ignore it, but that noise is the sound of your alternator, power steering, and AC pump slowly dying. The serpentine belt drives all your accessories. It is kept tight by a spring-loaded pulley called the tensioner. Over time, the spring inside the tensioner gets weak. When the tension is weak, the belt slips. This slipping creates heat, glazing the belt. But worse, a bouncing tensioner shocks the bearings in your alternator and water pump, leading to premature failure of those expensive parts. Deco, a major belt manufacturer, states that a tensioner that is just 5 degrees out of alignment or slightly weak can reduce the life of the serpentine belt by 50% and cause alternator bearing failure within 10,000 miles. Don't just change the belt, change the tensioner pulley too. It's usually one bolt. It ensures your water pump turns at the right speed, keeping your engine cool and quiet. The accessories are turning, but the fluids inside them might be dead, costing you hundreds. 13. The power steering sludge. If you have hydraulic power steering, turn your wheel all the way to the lock. Do you hear a whine or a groan? Does the steering feel heavy when parking? A Nissan Maxima owner came in because the steering was making a loud buzzing noise in the morning. He thought the power steering pump was dying. I looked at the fluid reservoir. It was filled with a black metallic soup. The fluid had oxidized and turned into sludge. Power steering pumps operate at over 1,000 psi. The fluid gets hot and breaks down. The seals inside the rack and pinion are rubber. Old fluid hardens these seals, causing leaks. The sludge also clogs the screens in the pump, causing that whine of starvation. Auto parts suppliers report that power steering pump sales have doubled in the last decade on older vehicles, largely attributed to owners never changing the fluid. Pumps are replaced when they could have been saved. Buy a turkey baster, $2, and the correct fluid, $10. Suck the old fluid out. Fill with new, drive, repeat 3 times. This dilution method is cheap and silences the pump immediately. Steering matters, but stopping is vital. The next problem actually damages your engine. 12. The brake fluid moisture sponge. You tap the brake pedal and it feels mushy. You don't have the confidence you used to. This isn't the pads. It's the physics of the fluid itself. Brake fluid is hygroscopic. It absorbs moisture from the air through the rubber hoses. Water boils at 212 F. Brake fluid boils at over 400 F. If your fluid is wet and you brake hard, the water boils into steam. Steam compresses. Liquid does not. That is why your pedal feels spongy. The Car Care Council found that over 50% of vehicles on the road have brake fluid with dangerous levels of moisture, over 3%. Perform a brake fluid flush every 2 years. Pushing out the old wet fluid and replacing it with dry fluid gives you a rock-hard race car pedal feel. The car stops, but does it go? Your manufacturer is hiding the industry's biggest lie. 11. The lifetime transmission fluid lie. We are exposing the biggest deception in the industry. If your manual says your transmission fluid is lifetime, they are lying to you to sell you a new transmission at 120,000 miles. A father brought in a 2017 Camry. It hesitated when merging. The dealer quoted $5,500 for a new transmission. We drained the lifetime fluid. It looked like black tar and smelled like burnt toast. We changed it. The car shifted perfectly. Transmission fluid contains friction modifiers and detergents. Over time, heat shears the molecules, thinning the fluid. According to the Automatic Transmission Rebuilders Association, a percent of transmission failures are due to overheating and fluid contamination. Lifetime means lifetime of the warranty. Perform a drain and fill every 50,000 miles. It restores hydraulic pressure and snappy shifts. The Camry owner saved $5,280. The transmission pushes power, but if you have a truck or a WD, there's another problem. 10. The differential and transfer case neglect. These are the heavy gearboxes between your wheels. They have thick oil and no filter. A Jeep owner complained of a whining noise and the car slowing down fast when coasting. We opened the differential. The fluid was a glittery metallic paste. Because there is no filter, every metal shaving from gear wear stays in the oil. It turns into liquid sandpaper. This increases rolling resistance. Your engine has to work harder to turn the wheels. Lab analysis shows used gear oil often has 10 times the metal concentration of engine oil. Change this fluid every 40,000 miles. Fresh synthetic gear oil reduces drag, improves MPG, and quiets the highway whine. Now, let's look at the liquid protecting your engine block. When this fluid turns acidic, it destroys your engine from the inside. 9. The coolant electrolysis trap. Most people ignore coolant until the car overheats. But coolant also stops your engine from corroding internally. A Chevy Cruze had a rotted heater core. We tested the coolant with a voltmeter. It registered 0.6 volts. The coolant had become a battery. When corrosion inhibitors in coolant wear out, the fluid becomes acidic. This creates electrolysis between the different metals in your engine: aluminum, iron, copper. The fluid physically eats the metal from the inside out. The National Automotive Radiator Service Association states that reactions like this electrolysis is the leading cause of heater core failure. The fix is simple. Flush your coolant every 4 years. Use the correct color. It stops the engine from rotting. The block might be safe, but pressure is building up inside it. If you ignore this next fix, you'll regret it. 8. The PCV valve pressure cooker. This is the most forgotten part on the entire automobile. The positive crankcase ventilation PCV valve. It is a small plastic one-way valve that costs less than lunch. Yet its failure is responsible for catastrophic oil leaks and internal sludge. When your engine runs, a small amount of combustion gas leaks past the piston rings into the crankcase, the bottom of the engine. This is called blowby. These gases contain moisture and unburned fuel. The PCV valve's job is to suck these gases out of the crankcase and send them back into the intake to be burned. If the valve gets clogged with sludge, which happens naturally over time, those gases have nowhere to go. Pressure builds up inside the engine block. It pushes oil out past the gaskets, causing leaks. Worse, the moisture stays inside the engine, mixing with the oil to form a thick yellow mayonnaise-like sludge that destroys bearings. According to seal manufacturers like Felpro, over 50% of recurring oil leak issues, where a customer fixes a gasket and it leaks again a month later, are caused by excessive crankcase pressure from a bad PCV valve. You are treating the symptom, the leak, not the disease, the pressure. Locate your PCV valve. Remove it, shake it. If it rattles, it's usually good. If it makes no sound, it's glued shut with sludge. Replace it. It is usually a $15 to $30 part. But there is another problem older cars face, and their owners have no idea about it. It will cost you lots of money if you figure it out late. Can you guess what it is? 7. The external fuel filter neglect. On many older cars and trucks and some modern diesels, the fuel filter is a canister tucked along the frame rail. If it clogs, your fuel pump works double time and burns out. A clogged fuel filter restricts volume. At idle, the car runs fine. But when you step on the gas to pass, the engine starves. This causes a lean condition that can overheat the cylinders. Check your manual. If you have an external filter, change it every $30,000. It costs $15 and protects your $500 fuel pump. And let's say the fuel is clean, but the sensor measuring the air might be blind. If the next sensor is dirty, your computer is guessing, and this causes multiple problems. 6. The MAF sensor blindness. Your car feels gutless and fuel economy has dropped. The check engine light isn't on. Your engine's nose is likely stuffy. A Subaru Outback owner complained of low MPG. I pulled the mass airflow MAF sensor. The tiny wire was coated in dust. The MAF measures air mass using a hot wire. Dirt insulates the wire, making it slow. The computer thinks less air is entering, so it injects less fuel or messes up the timing, causing hesitation. An EPA study found a dirty MAF can reduce fuel economy by 15%. Use MAF sensor cleaner. $9. Spray the wire. Do not touch it. It restores lost power instantly. The sensor sees the air, but the gate controlling it is sticky. This causes rough idle. 5. The throttle body suffocation. An architect brought in his 2016 Ford F-150. He complained that the truck would sometimes stall when he pulled up to a job site, or the idle would drop so low the lights would dim. He had already replaced the battery and the alternator, thinking it was an electrical issue. I took off the air intake hose, a 5-minute job with a screwdriver. I shined a light into the throttle body. The butterfly valve, the metal flap that controls airflow, was ringed with a thick black ridge of carbon sludge. It looked like someone had caulked it shut with tar. According to technical service bulletins from Ford and GM, dirty throttle bodies account for nearly 25% of all rough idle complaints in vehicles over 75,000 miles. It is a massive issue caused by basic chemistry. You need a can of throttle body cleaner, $8, and an old rag. Remove the intake hose. Spray the cleaner on the rag, not directly into the engine if you can avoid it. Use your finger to push the flap open and scrub the edges until the metal shines like silver. It takes 15 minutes. We've handled fluids. Now the fire. If your engine lost its snap, this is why. 4. The spark plug gap drift. My car runs fine. It starts every time. That is the most dangerous sentence in car maintenance. Just because it runs doesn't mean it runs right. Modern ignition systems are so good they can mask a worn-out spark plug, but you are paying for it in power and efficiency. Every time a spark plug fires, a microscopic amount of metal is vaporized from the electrode. Over millions of fires, the gap widens. As the gap gets wider, the ignition coil has to build up more voltage to jump that gap. This places massive stress on the coils. Eventually, under heavy load, the coil can't generate enough voltage to bridge the wide gap, and the spark gets blown out by the cylinder pressure. This is a misfire. Dyno tests by performance shops consistently show that replacing worn plugs with fresh ones can restore 5 to 10 horsepower on a 4-cylinder engine. It is the cheapest horsepower you can buy. Replace your spark plugs every 60,000 to 90,000 miles, even if they are iridium. Use OEM plugs, NGK or Denso. Usually, do not buy cheap knockoffs online. The top 3 fixes that reverse years of neglect and restore factory fresh power. 3. The lazy O2 sensor. My car runs perfect, but the gas mileage is terrible. I hear this complaint constantly from owners of high-mileage vehicles. They have changed the air filter, the spark plugs, and the oil, but the fuel economy keeps dipping. They are chasing a ghost because they are trusting a light on the dashboard that is lying to them. Oxygen sensors live in your exhaust stream, enduring temperatures of over 600. They are the nose of the car's computer, sniffing the exhaust fumes to determine if the air-fuel mix is rich, too much gas, or lean, too much air. They tell the computer to adjust the fuel injectors thousands of times per minute. According to data from Bosch, the world's largest manufacturer of oxygen sensors, a degraded lazy sensor can reduce fuel economy by 10% to 15% and increase emissions by 20% long before it triggers a fault code. It is the silent wallet killer. If you have over 120,000 miles and poor MPG, do not wait for the light. Replace the upstream O2 sensor. It's just before the catalytic converter. It costs about $100 for a high-quality Denso or NTK part. The CRV owner spent $120 on the repair and saved roughly $400 a year in wasted fuel immediately. The sensors are sharp, but the fuel spray is compromised. There's a simple fix most don't know about. 2. The fuel injector spray pattern. Fuel needs to be a microscopically fine mist to burn efficiently. If your injectors are old, they don't spray, they dribble. Modern fuel injectors have nozzle holes smaller than a human hair. When you turn off your hot engine, the last drop of gasoline sits on that scorching hot injector tip and cooks. The volatile parts of the gas evaporate, leaving behind a sticky, waxy residue called varnish. This varnish coats the microscopic holes. It disrupts the spray pattern. Instead of an explosive mist that ignites instantly, you get a stream that just sizzles. This causes incomplete combustion, wastes fuel, and creates hot spots in the cylinder that can actually melt pistons over time. You don't necessarily need to replace them. Use a high-quality tank additive with polytheramine like Techrin or Redline once every oil change. PA is the only chemical strong enough to safely strip that hard varnish from the nozzle while you drive, restoring the mist and the smooth idle. We've restored spark, fluids, and air. But one problem affects every modern car built after 2012, and no fluid change will fix it. 1. The carbon buildup on valves, the GDY curse. This is the silent epidemic of the modern automotive era. If you drive a car with direct injection, GDY, TSI, Skyactiv, EcoBoost, your engine is slowly choking itself to death and you don't even know it. Independent testing on GTI engines shows that by 60,000 miles, airflow restriction can be as high as 20%. It is a universal problem. Forums for Audi, Ford, Mini, and Hyundai are filled with carbon cleaning threads for a reason. If it's already bad, you need a mechanic to physically blast the valves with crushed walnut shells, which are abrasive enough to remove carbon, but soft enough not to damage metal. This strips the valves down to bare metal. The GTI owner paid $600 for a walnut blast. He texted me the next day. It's a different car. It spins the tires in second gear again. He had restored 100% of his factory airflow. You just learned 17 restoration steps. Your engine isn't dying of old age, it's dying of neglect. From the lifetime fluid lie to the carbon choking your valves. These 10 steps are the difference between a car that feels like a junker at 100,000 miles and a car that runs like a dream at 300,000. But here's what nobody tells you. There's one maintenance trick that beats all 17 of these combined. Something so simple you can do it once a month in your own garage, yet so powerful it can literally double your engine's lifespan. On your screen right now, do this once a month and your engine will last forever. I reveal the $12 secret that's kept my personal truck running for 387,000 miles without a single major repair. Click it now on the left because if you're not doing this monthly ritual, you're literally throwing away years of engine life. I'll see you there.